Okay, right here. You know how some things just go missing and you have no idea why? There's a blue rain jacket that I used in our Nordhaus Dunes New Year's episode. That jacket is gone. I do not know what happened to it. My best guess is we left it at a post-hike meal and I just took it off and I put it like on a chair or something. Man, that one frustrates me so much because that was a great rain jacket. Anyway, my Big Agnes HV UL1 tent. I do not know what happened to it, but the crossbar just is gone. So I ordered a replacement. It was $27 including shipping. It stings a little bit because you're always like, oh man, I shouldn't have had to pay that. Shouldn't have lost it. But the fact that you can get small replaceable parts, that's very good. So my tent will be good as new. So on the docket today is editing this solo video that I filmed last week, or was it the week before? I've talked before about how quickly I can edit these solo videos, and I was trying to figure out why editing the full Adventure Archives videos took so much longer. And I thought it was like because of the music or the narration, but a big part of it is that multiple people are speaking. Editing conversations takes so much longer than editing monologues. When it's just me talking to camera, you just edit out the ums and the ahs, and you edit out all the parts where I repeat myself like 3 times. But when it's like 3 or 4 people talking to each other, it needs to feel like the ideal form of the conversation. When you're in person, you can repeat stuff and you can and you ah. But when you're watching somebody else's conversation, you just want the, not even necessarily like just to make it tight. It's like, you're not just trying to shorten it, because you can have like these long conversations that can be meandering and have like a nice relaxed feel, but you want it to be packaged the best possible and also to make sense. There are times where we take something that somebody said later in the conversation and move it earlier, just because by the time they said that thing, if you're as a viewer, you would have already forgotten about what is he talking about, but you move it back to the other area where it's like with like. Speaking of which, that's like 80% of the battle when it comes to video editing. Put stuff that's similar next to each other and show on screen what it is you're talking about. And you're like, man, that's the recipe. You wanna know how to make Adventure Archives videos? Put stuff that's similar next to each other and then show me what you're talking about. That's it. Maybe I'm selling us a little bit short with that explanation, but I feel like it's not too far off. Okay, time to get to work. I am so tired. You know, yesterday was one of those days that's just a lost cause. That's okay. Tomorrow will be better. And it is tomorrow, and it is better because I have much more energy today. So let's get to work. This is gonna be one of the best solo hike videos I've ever made. I'm always trying to capture the feel and the atmosphere of what it was like to be there, and I think, oh, this time, man, I think I got it. You know, one thing I keep meaning to talk about is why is this Noosa yogurt so good? Like, I know it's got a lot of sugar, but most yogurt has a lot of sugar, and none of them taste this good. This stuff is like, yo, delicious! And are we about to eat a delicious mango cut with a bread knife? Oh yeah, baby. Oh, mango? Talking about mango? Not great, not bad. Since I live in Indiana, I'll take what I can get. I know that people say content because you need a word that's not just video, that's not just audio, that's not just pictures, something that encompasses everything that content creators do. But the word content makes it sound like cattle feed. And I've tried to keep my public complaining about this to a minimum, because if you are a content creator, if you're lucky enough to have that job, just shut your mouth. Don't talk. But today I decided I'm going to lean into it. I hate the word content so much, I'm gonna take it a step further. My wife introduced me to a word called pablum. I am a pablum creator. Look it up. Would you like some pablum? I've got some pablum for you babies. It's just insulting. Content. I'm giving you content. What is this? It's insulting to you and to me. Insulting to everybody involved. to release our 64th episode of Adventure Archives. The first 8 episodes were shot with a camera called the Canon T3i. By today's standards, this is an ancient camera. In episode 9, when we went to Red River Gorge, that was our first episode in 4K shot with the Panasonic GH4. 2 episodes later, we added the Sony a7S II, and we used that through episode 18. In episode 19, we upgraded the Panasonic camera to the GH5. We used that up through episode 39. Starting in episode 40, the Sony a7S III came out, and we replaced both cameras with this one, and we have been using it ever since. To be honest, barring some technological change, I don't really think we need to upgrade these cameras for Adventure Archives. The a7S III with a gimbal and a tripod and an assortment of lenses, and you are set for life. Now I'm getting to a point here, so please stick with me. This solo hike that I just filmed was shot entirely with the Sony a7S III. When we're shooting Adventure Archives, as I said, this camera is complete. There's nothing that I'm wanting for. However, before I shot that solo video, I was like, oh, maybe I should get like a new 50mm, like I could get one that's even nicer. After shooting the video, I absolutely do not need to get another 50mm. This one works a treat. I can maybe do that one day for fun because I'll enjoy it, but to the actual quality of the video, it doesn't matter that much. Now, after editing this video and looking at it, the needs of a solo shooter when you aren't using a gimbal are a little bit different, and your calculation on what makes a complete camera is slightly different. The camera we use for Adventure Archives has one weakness that makes it not ideal for a solo shooter without a gimbal, and that is the stabilizer. I'm trying not to get too into the weeds of the technical details, but basically, Panasonic cameras have always had better stabilization than Sony cameras. Sometimes you can get great stabilization results with the Sony. And then other times, the camera just like totally poops the bed, and you get this shaky mess that looks like this. If you're using some sort of gimbal contraption, that does not matter at all, and I would always go with the Sony. But when I'm shooting handheld, the stabilization of Panasonic cameras is just, it's too much for me to ignore. Okay, so now let's get to the point. I looked long and hard at this video and I said, what will really improve my videos when I'm doing a solo video? What do I really want and need that is lacking? About 8 months ago, Panasonic released a camera called the G9 II. This is the G9 II. I don't need to bore you with any of the other details. All you need to know is look at this stabilization. It's almost like filming with a GoPro, but the quality doesn't look terrible. Look at this, man. This is handheld walking, and it's this smooth. For the very specific use case that I have of solo filming while hiking, this camera makes the trade-offs that I need it to make. At this point, you might be asking yourself a couple of questions, and one of them might be, why not just use your old Panasonic camera? You filmed your most viewed video ever with that camera. The main reason is that it has terrible autofocus. And now that I have experienced good autofocus, I can't go back. I just cannot go back. It's not a nice to have anymore, it is a necessity. Another question you might be asking yourself is, don't you have that Osmo Pocket 3 that was supposed to solve all of your stabilization problems and you can just walk and talk vlog style with it just like this? Yes, and I tried it a little bit in this solo video, but the problem is that you have to enter manual settings if you really want it to match the big camera. When I'm in the forest, you get such different lighting conditions. If you just leave it on auto white balance, the colors are just constantly changing, so you have to dial in the settings. And dialing in settings on this thing really sucks, and I don't enjoy it. While it produces really good footage, the experience of using it in manual mode and not just auto everything, it is not fun. Now you might be asking yourself, why not just get the S5 II? You get the full frame benefits, but you also get the amazing Panasonic stabilization. For one thing, I already have a bunch of Micro Four Thirds lenses, so I don't need to buy all new lenses. And also, I just want the small, compact form factor. And also, I don't want to crop on any of my slow motion modes. If there was no crop on 60 frames per second and the camera also did 120 frames per second, then I would consider it. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm pretty excited about using this camera for solo filming because I just really like the ergonomics of Panasonic cameras. And I feel like the trade-off of slightly lower image quality in certain environments, but massively better stabilization is more important to the in video. My favorite video game creator is a guy named Tetsuya Nomura, and I might have mentioned this already, I can't remember. But he said he always thinks from the player's perspective. When he's making a decision on something that they're gonna make, it's what will the player think about this? what will the player's experience be? And in the same way, when I make videos, I try to think about, if I were watching this, what would be the things that really matter to me that I would want to see? And some shaky ass video is maybe in the top 3 of things to avoid. And I don't care how good the picture quality of this thing is. If I cannot keep the shot stable, then it's not worth it. But yeah, I'm very excited about this camera. I spent a lot of time last night just sitting on the couch, seeing what all the features that they've added to it since the GH5. And man, they're just very well thought out cameras. Just for actual usability, I love Panasonic cameras. It's a story for me as old as time at this point that if I could just take my Panasonic cameras and my Sony cameras and combine them, I could have the ultimate camera. But we're just not quite there yet. Maybe in another couple of years. Maybe this year. Maybe Sony will come out with the a7S IV, give me that final 5% that I need. You never know. You never know. You know, I do wonder though, are the limitations part of the fun? When you take something that isn't ideal, but is close enough, and you work around those limitations and you're still able to make something great, there is something very satisfying about that. Anyways, I'll make a conclusion about this camera after I've really used it and put it through its paces, because you can't really know something until you've really used it. And the a7S III and the GH5, I have used to death, and I can tell you all the ins and outs of these cameras and all the good things and the bad things about them. And this G9 II is still not the perfect camera, but for the very specific use case of solo hiking videos, I think it's gonna be pretty good. Okay, thank you very much for watching. If you have no interest in camera stuff, the thing that you should take away from this is that maybe just by necessity of the way life works, no tool is going to be perfect for every scenario. And when you're just starting out, you can use whatever tool you have and you can shoehorn it in. But if you get to the point where the tool feels like it's holding you back in one specific scenario, and there's another tool you could get, and the only thing standing between you and that tool is money, and you've got the money, just get the tool, man. Okay, thanks again for watching. Hope you have a good one. See you in the next one.